Hey guys, it's me, the tree hugger, coming to you from Abingdon. Really wish we could all be up there at camp, but we got to do what we got to do. I'm here in the Abingdon Congregation Auditorium. Thank you, Bill Haywood, who's been setting this up for me. Joey's back there in the back trying to help out as well. But anyway, guys, I've got 10 minutes to talk to you all about my favorite Bible story. Some of you may already know it, but a lot of you probably don't, so here goes. And there's a good story that I think goes with it. Be turning to Matthew chapter 14, please. While you're turning, let me give you a little bit of context. The chapter starts out, John the Baptist gets killed. We know that story. You've heard that story lots of times. In verse 13, Jesus gets the news. Jesus is told that John the Baptist is dead. And it really appears to have hit him hard, because as it says in verse 13, that he tried to go off by himself to pray, tried to get off by himself. Because if there was anybody who was walking on earth who knew who Jesus really was, what he was all about, and why he was there, it was John the Baptist, and now he's gone. And I think it really hits Jesus hard. Tries to go off by himself. The crowd that's there they just don't want anything to do with that. They go around and meet him when he gets out of a boat. They're already there. And you and I would already be really upset by that. We're trying to get by ourselves and nobody's leaving us alone. We would be upset. No. The text says Jesus had compassion on them. He healed their sick. And eventually he even feeds them supper with 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And as it says there in verse 22, that he gets his disciples and he tells them, all right, guys, you guys go get in a boat, take off. I'm going to dismiss the crowd, have a few minutes to myself, and I'll catch up with you later, in essence. So the disciples leave, they get in a boat, and they take off. Jesus dismissed these 5,000 people, plus women and children. Big crowd that he fed that night with his 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And finally, he has some time to where he can pray by himself. And when he's done, the boat is already out there, a long ways away, out in this water, in this lake. And he can't call an Uber, so what does he do? He starts walking on the water out there to get towards them. Verses 24 and 25 there of Matthew 14. It says that it's the 4th watch of the night. Somewhere 3 a.m., 5 a.m., and I don't know if you guys have ever stayed up that late, but those are some rough hours. I've had to do that at work. Really, really rough hours. And the wind says that the wind is against them. You got waves and you got wind, and they're rowing to try to get out there, trying to get to the other side. It's like they're rowing and going 5 feet, and the wind's blowing them back 3 feet. It's just been a hard, hard, hard night, and it's the middle of the night, and I'm sure they're exhausted. And yet back behind them, someone looks back there and they see a little spot, a little dot out there in the dark. And then the waves hide it. And they're thinking, I must be seeing something. A moment or so later, the dot's there again, but this time it's bigger. And I'm sure it's getting their attention. Getting the other people, hey, what's that out there? The waves are hiding it, and then all of a sudden, there it is. It's bigger, and it's obviously coming to them. I mean, they're out there in the middle of the lake. The sky is dark. The water is dark. The waves are rolling around them. The wind's blowing. I mean, what did they assume it could be? It could only be one thing. It says, it's a ghost. And they're petrified. You know what the problem is? They have nowhere to go. They're in a boat out in the middle of the lake in the middle of the night. They have nowhere to go. They're petrified as this thing keeps coming closer and closer and closer to them. And don't forget, guys, the text doesn't say that there was a parting of the waves for Jesus. No, Jesus is out there riding those waves just as their boat is riding those waves. And finally, he gets close enough to them to say, guys, don't be afraid. It's me. Everything's okay. And of course, Peter says, Lord, if it's you, tell me to come to you. Tell me to walk out there to you. And of course, what is there in verse 28? And of course, Jesus says, come. So Peter steps out over the side, lowers himself down, and starts walking out on the water. Now, really recognize what the text doesn't say. The text doesn't say anything that Andrew intervened and said, oh, Peter, I'm your brother. Let me go. I'll go do this for you. Or John saying, wait a minute. If that's Jesus, I'm his best friend. I'll go. No, the text doesn't say anything about that, does it? I'd say they probably gave him a wide berth when Peter threw one of his legs up over the railing, threw his other leg up there, sat up on top of the railing, and slid down to the water and then started taking those steps. Now, how far away is Jesus away from them? We don't know. But there's wind and there's waves. It's far enough. It's probably not horribly far, but far enough, close enough to where they could talk to each other. I would imagine, guys, that when Peter started walking on that water, those men still in the boat, their eyes were just as wide as can be, and their mouths were just totally just wide open, not believing what they were seeing. Verse 30, it says that Peter sees the wind. Now, we don't know if a sudden gust of wind comes up and about knocks him over, or did he get a splash of water in his face? We don't know. We don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, Peter comes to this realization, what am I doing out here? I'm not supposed to be here. People don't. And so he starts to sink. Did he go down like a rock, or did he kind of go down slowly? We don't know. But still, he had time to cry out to Jesus, Jesus, save me. And the text says that immediately Jesus reaches down and he picks him up, lifts him up out of the water, and he takes him to the boat. They get in the boat. Of course, Jesus is saying, oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt? They get in the boat, winds calm down, and everybody is just totally amazed by this. There's a lot of good lessons that come from this passage right here. But let me give you guys why it's so special to me. Late January, early February 1980, yes, I know it was 40 years ago, the campus minister from the Blacksburg congregation up there around Tech gave this lesson at a Wednesday noontime Bible study, second floor, Squire Student Center. And sitting there by invitation was this wild-eyed, long-haired forestry student. It's been a long time since I'd had any real spiritual education, and I found that story very interesting. Because Bob Kalogner, who was the campus minister there at the Blacksburg congregation, he now is the pulpit minister in Warrenton, Virginia. He ended the lesson with this question. He says, if you were in Peter's shoes, Peter's sandals, what would you do? Would you be willing to take those steps into the unknown, the uncertainty, to go to Jesus? Or would you stay back where it was safe and solid and something that you knew? As I and the young lady who, named not Betsy, but Betsy knows her, the young lady that invited me to that Bible study, we're walking back to Cheatham Hall, the forestry building there on campus. She asked me the question. She said, go ahead, answer the question. What would you do? And I thought for a moment, and I said, well, I might get out of the boat, but I would certainly have one hand on that boat. I'd have a hard time letting go. Week or so later, I'm not sure exactly how Valentine's Day comes in, and I got a Valentine's card in the mail. And inside it said, hey, Kevin, don't be afraid to let go of the boat. I still have that card stashed away securely in my closet. Don't be afraid to let go of the boat. And guys, I don't care if you've been a Christian for 4 months or 4 years or for 40 years? That's a question we always have to ask ourselves. Are we willing to let go of the boat? Is there something out there? Is there something, someone, some circumstance, some habit, something that's keeping us from coming to Jesus fully, to where we can be his true disciple? That story and that question eventually started my road to my baptism on April 29th, 1980. But it's a question I still have to ask myself that. Is there something out there, guys? And I ask you, and I want you to look at me right now. Is there something out there that you're having a hard time letting go of? Something that you're familiar with, something that is secure, something that is solid, but something that is holding you back from being a true disciple? Let me respond the way that young lady, her name was Kathy, responded to me. Don't be afraid to let go of the boat. Please don't be afraid to let go of the boat. I think my time's about up. Yeah, I'm just a little bit over. Sorry, Tim. Thank you, guys. Love you, miss you. You get a chance, go outside, look at some trees for me. Will you please? Thank you, guys. We'll see you. Bye.